Our story kicks off with Tim, a pretty average guy, not special at anything, who decides to introduce us to his family. His mom's a calm, garden-loving woman who minds her own business. His dad's a cheerful, goofy man who loves to laugh, play around, and act younger than he really is. Then there's his uncle Desmond, who's got Alzheimer's, always wearing a suit and forgetting literally everything. And his sister Kathy? She's just as weird as the rest of them. One day, the family throws a big house party for Tim's 21st birthday. A girl at the party tries to flirt with him, but he's too shy to make a move. The next morning, Tim's dad says he needs to have an important talk with him, which instantly sounds weird. Then he drops the bomb. Their family has a special power that shows up once they turn 21. They can travel back in time. Tim laughs it off, thinking his dad's just messing around, but his dad insists. He explains that you can go back and change events, but you can never change fate. After a long, deep talk about destiny, death, and life itself, Tim still doesn't buy it. So his dad tells him to go somewhere dark, picture the exact moment he wants to revisit, and give it a try. Tim heads up to his room and decides to try it out. He steps into the closet, shuts the door, and pictures going back just one day, so he can attend his birthday party again. And boom, Tim suddenly finds himself in his party outfit. He actually went back in time. He's over the moon. First thing he does, he goes straight to the girl who was trying to get close to him, and this time he makes a move. No shyness. Then he returns to the closet to jump back to the present. He rushes to his dad to tell him what happened. When he suggests going back in time to get rich without ever working, his dad warns him. His grandfather tried that, and his life turned out miserable. So Tim asks, "Okay, what did you do?" His dad says, "I had time on my hands. I'd go back and read tons of books. And whenever time moved forward, I'd rewind and read even more." Right then, Tim decides to use his gift wisely. He's going to look for the love of his life. A few days later, their cousin Charlotte arrives, and she's stunning. Tim falls for her the second he sees her, thinking, "That's it. She's the one I'm gonna spend my life with." Charlotte's there to spend the summer vacation with them. One day while they're by the pool, she asks Tim to rub some sunscreen on her back. He doesn't even hesitate. He jumps up and runs over immediately. Of course, his dad's not too thrilled watching that scene, muttering, "I should have raised a real man." And Tim doesn't disappoint. As soon as he starts rubbing the lotion, he drops the whole thing on the ground, totally embarrassed. So he runs straight to the closet to go back in time again. This time, he decides to play it cool. He tells her to wait a bit until he finishes reading, then goes over calmly and helps her apply the lotion. And the moment finally goes smoothly. After a while, summer break comes to an end. It's Charlotte's last day with them. That day, Tim finally gathers the courage to go to her room and confess his love. But she shuts him down, telling him she doesn't feel the same way, and that he should have told her earlier so she could have thought about it. So Tim goes back in time again, even further this time, to confess earlier. But now she says, "No, you confessed too soon. You should have waited until the end of summer so I could figure out my feelings." That's when Tim realizes Charlotte's just playing with him. She's not into him at all. Her 2 months are up, and Tim completely ignores her until she leaves the house. After that, he decides to move to London to start working there, and maybe find the love of his life. In London, Tim stays with Harry, his dad's friend, a playwright with a bizarre personality, just as odd as everyone else we've met in this movie so far. Tim settles into Harry's place and starts his new job, where he meets his coworker Roy. 6 months pass in the same old routine. One day, Tim and Roy get bored out of their minds and decide to try something different. They head to this quirky dating spot. Basically pitch black, you can't see a thing. You sit and talk, and if both people like each other just from the conversation, you step outside to finally meet. Tim ends up chatting with a girl named Mary. They're laughing, vibing, totally into the conversation. By the end, they agree to meet outside. Roy's date turns out to be a gorgeous girl named Joanna. Tim's nervous. Mary hasn't shown up yet. After a moment, she finally arrives. And she's stunning. Tim tries to get her number, but Joanna shows up and drags Mary off immediately. She and Roy just had a fight. Even so, Mary's clearly into Tim and asks if they can meet again. Tim goes home over the moon, but finds Harry upset because his stage play completely flopped. One of the actors forgot his lines. So Tim decides to go back in time to help him out. He visits the actor and tells him to make sure he memorizes his script properly. But when Tim attends the performance, he realizes that wasn't even the right actor. So he rewinds time again, and this time he feeds the lines directly to the actor himself. The play turns out great, and Harry's thrilled. But when Tim checks his phone, Mary's number is gone. He rushes back to the place where they met, but she's nowhere to be found. The next day, Tim spots a newspaper piece about a fashion exhibition by an artist Mary told him she loves. Obviously, he shows up every single day of the exhibition hoping to accidentally bump into her. And sure enough, one day he sees her and goes over to talk. She's confused and pulls away because in this timeline she has no idea who he is. Tim pleads with her to sit with him and with her friend after the show. They do, and they grab a bite together. Then comes the shock of his life. She's dating a guy named Robert. They met 2 days ago at a party at her friend Joanna's place. So Tim takes the address, rewinds to the night of the party, and heads to Joanna's house. There he meets Mary for the first time and uses all the intel he learned from the previous run-throughs to make her fall for him, and it works. Mary really likes him, and she agrees to go out with him. They have dinner together, get to know each other better, and by the end of the night, he ends up staying over. One kiss leads to another, and before they know it, they've decided to move in together. After a while, her family comes over, and Tim meets them for the first time. But as usual, he manages to screw everything up with what he says. So he keeps jumping back in time again and again to fix his awkward comments and actions. One day, Tim goes to the theater with Roy, where he unexpectedly runs into Charlotte and her girlfriend, Tina. He's shocked to realize that Charlotte rejected him because her preferences are different. But the moment he says that, Tina snaps, telling him to watch his mouth because she actually likes men. So Tim rewinds time again, this time trying to joke that they shouldn't stand too close or people might think they're lesbians. And of course, Tina gets mad again, because she actually is one. Tim's completely lost about what to do, so he decides to rewind time again. But this time, he doesn't even go talk to them. As he's leaving the place, he bumps into Charlotte, who wants to hang out since Tina just left. Tim takes her to a restaurant, and there she surprises him by saying she wishes she could go back in time to accept his offer, so they could have been together. He walks her home, and Charlotte tries to seduce him into spending the night with her. But Tim refuses because he truly loves Mary. He rushes back home, runs straight to Mary, and wakes her up to propose to her right then and there. But she doesn't even respond. She's still half asleep. So Tim keeps rewinding time again and again until he finally gets the perfect answer. A big, happy yes. Tim takes Mary to meet his family and tells them she's going to be his wife. A little while later, we see them at their wedding. Unfortunately, a storm hits and the whole outdoor party falls apart. So they decide to move the ceremony to the church and keep going. Tim picks Roy to give the wedding speech, and Roy absolutely butchers it. So Tim rewinds and picks Harry instead. But even he doesn't nail it. He keeps jumping back, choosing a different person each time, until he finally asks his dad, who gives a brilliant speech. Time passes, and Mary gives birth to a beautiful baby girl they name Posey. From that moment on, Tim lives like a normal dad, and decides he's done with time travel. No more rewinding, no more changing things. Until one day, the whole family's gathered, waiting for his sister Kathy, who's running late. After a while, her boyfriend shows up and admits they had a big fight. She drank a lot last night. Moments later, they get the call. Kathy's been in a car crash. At the hospital, her condition is really bad, so Tim asks her boyfriend about the last time he saw her before the accident, so he can go back and save her. He rewinds time and personally drives Kathy home safely. After their next family gathering, Tim finally tells his sister his big secret, but she doesn't believe him, so he takes her to the closet and travels back with her to his 21st birthday party. There, he tells her not to get involved with her current boyfriend because he's bad news. At the party, Kathy sees him hitting on every girl around, and that's it. She's done. She marches straight up to him and gives him a reality check, slapping him across the face for cheating, even though technically he doesn't even know her yet. When they return to the present, Kathy is shocked. Her old boyfriend is gone, and instead, she finds herself in a relationship with Jay, Tim's friend. And this time, she's genuinely happy Tim gets home to Mary. Happy he's just fixed his sister's life. But there's one tiny problem. His daughter Posey is now a boy. He rushes to his dad, who explains that too much time travel causes major ripple effects. So Tim decides to go back again and let everything play out exactly as it originally did, so he can have his daughter back. Kathy stays in the hospital for a while and Tim and Mary visit her. Tim tells her that his friend Jay likes her and wants to take her out, and she agrees. This time, when Tim gets home, Posey is back. Years go by. Posey grows up, and they have another child as well. One day, Tim gets a call his father is ill. When he arrives, his uncle tells him it's cancer from years of smoking. Tim talks with his dad, who shares the secret to a happy life. Don't try to change everything. Slow down, be present, and enjoy it more. Tim goes back to his usual daily routine: work, hanging out with Roy, commuting. But this time, instead of feeling annoyed by everything, he starts enjoying it, just like his dad told him. He finally understands that even the boring, repetitive parts of life can actually be happy ones. Eventually, Tim prepares to attend his father's funeral. But before that, he decides to travel back in time one last time to talk to him again. Later on, Mary tells Tim she wants to have a third child. Tim hesitates because he knows once that baby is born, he'll never be able to go back in time to see his dad again. After some thinking, he agrees, but only after visiting his father one last time. When they meet, his dad suggests they travel even further back together to make their final memory truly special. And yes, the two of them spend a lovely day together, just a father and his little boy on the beach. This time, when Tim returns to the present, he decides to quit time traveling for good. Because he honestly doesn't get the point of reliving his days over and over again. Man, you got the girl, you saw your dad after he died, you saved your sister from her lousy boyfriend, and in the end you still don't get why you're replaying days? Man! And that brings us to the end of our movie.